Nicole, what would the title of like your autobiography be if you were a Real Housewife releasing an autobiography?
This is really unoriginal, but I'm thinking right now it would be Sad Mormon. Because seasonal affective disorder is real.
Preach. But, you know, like, preach, but not to Heather's choir, which is bad.
I know. Their practicing didn't really pay off, did it? This is episode 10 of Disengaging.
Our show recapping our spiciest takes on season 3 of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I'm Julia Ritchie in Nashville, Tennessee.
And I'm Nicole Nixon in Sacramento, California.
We made it, Nicole.
We did. Listen, the journey wasn't always easy.
It was not a hilling journey. It was a hellacious journey.
Sometimes there was only one pair of footprints in the sand where Jesus had to carry me through this season. And Jen, unfortunately, had to carry the storyline.
Yeah, but I was going to congratulate us because we did a podcast together, as we mentioned in episode 1 in Utah on the legislature, and we only did 7 or 8 episodes, and we're now on episode 10. So this is the most.
You're right.
Yeah, so cheers.
Cheers to us.
Clink. We have glasses, and but yeah, like the Utah legislature. This season was a real slog.
Oh my God, what's that? It was a lot of work to watch these episodes and stay up to date. And I think we talked about on an episode before, we didn't always stay up to date.
No, we were confused about things. The women, the way the editing was done, made plot lines sort of convoluted. You couldn't tell who the main storyline of the season was. The eye is still not resolved. You know, there's a lot that didn't get resolved in this season, but there was also just no through line the whole time.
And I don't blame them if stuff isn't always resolved at the end of a season, because this is air quote reality TV at the end of the day. But we were texting when we were watching the finale, and I was like, I wasn't left wanting more. And like, given the legal drama with Jen and the fact that she was just sentenced and the finale came out, like, you couldn't have asked for better timing for these, for the show. But it just felt like such a chore and like so much emotional energy to watch and to keep up and to follow a 3-day trip for like 5 weeks straight. It was
5 months.
They really asked a lot of us this season. And I don't know. I just think they could have done better with some of the material they had.
I think we started to figure out what occurred, or we have a good working theory. And I'm sure some of the other fans have similar theories. But, the first half of this last episode, they're at the book launch of Heather's forthcoming autobiography, Bad Mormon, and then it's like 15 minutes of that, and then they end the episode, and the entire rest and latter half of the episode is about Jen's guilty plea in July, which is like when they ended filming, and then they did like just a black screen with text, like an Instagram story. That's like, and she just got 6.5 months. It was just so sloppy and so thrown together. And so my theory was that Jen asking for all of these delays in her trial made it impossible for the editors to actually cut together a storyline on the trial, because they obviously had a lot to work out on the back end with her attorneys about how much they could film of all of the proceedings. So I think it's Jen's fault this season was bad. Like, literally, like, not only is she going to jail, but she committed the biggest crime of all, which was to mess with TV production schedules. And made it. So then you could see, like, midway through, there were times when the women acted like she'd already pled guilty. And then other times, it was like, it was impossible for them to actually, like, have a consistent storyline because Jen had kept pushing her plea out.
Yeah. And maybe, do you think that would explain why the San Diego trip took so many episodes of this season? Like, they planned to film longer to include, and maybe we should go back and look up, like, when Jen's original
we should
dates were
do
scheduled.
A timeline.
Yeah,
yes.
because my other
the whole point of the trip was to be like her last hurrah.
Yeah.
Before her trial, and then the trial got pushed.
Well,
yeah.
So here's another question: is one, was she requesting the trial delays and pushing them? Two, was she doing that to, get her argument and her legal arguments in order, or was she doing that to push TV production so that this maybe wouldn't be part of this season because she knew when they were wrapping filming?
I don't think that she had that much control over it, other than it's pretty standard for like someone's attorneys not to want to go to trial. Like they want to
that's
kick it out as long as they can to get the best deal they can. So I think largely
think the the TV production schedule factored into her trial deadline. I
don't know Jen's working relationship with the producers, but yeah, I'd imagine like she was taking the advice of her attorneys, and it, left the producers in a choice, like leave Jen in, but not make it seem that she's still innocent, even though everyone knows this is not going to play out in her favor.
Yeah.
But at least we got the super cut of her yelling she's innocent all season long.
You called it.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad that was included. That was hilarious.
And we're recording, before Jen's sit down with Andy Cohen, but that is allegedly taking place this weekend, which will be her, I guess exit interview to jail or entrance interview. Is it?
Her like going on leave for several years, but hopes to be back interview.
But by and large, this season was widely panned by many, many people and fans of the show. Like, I enjoyed definitely watching parts of it, but there was no consistency that made me like feel like I can't wait to tune in next time.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's very good for the season, especially with we talked about Jen and we asked this question, will the franchise continue without Jen? I think they'll probably, has it been revealed yet if it's been renewed? I feel like maybe they do one more and kind of test it.
I think they're going to test it for sure.
Yeah, but if viewership doesn't and the fans
But seasons go dormant, or franchises go dormant, like the Real Housewives of New York, is it? They just rebooted with the original cast and they came with now they have a new cast. So they're going to do two. Oh. Yeah, because the new people didn't mesh well with the older cast members, so they decided just to like make
so it's not rare and like unheard of for these to go on pause or a hiatus.
I don't really see that happening here. I just think because Andy Cohen did say that they already have some really, really good cast members.
That's true.
So he actually did confirm that they are filming another season and that they have new cast members from the ones we even met this season. So maybe he has to say it because he's the hype man. He's like the guy in the middle of the circus tent.
That's right.
He's the ringmaster. So.
Who from Utah are you nominating then to be part of the next?
Oh, good.
The next
yeah,
cast?
I believe when I texted you this, I said Gail Ruzicka. Was that it? Right? She's the president of the Eagle Forum, a very conservative women's group. She's kind of an OG in Utah politics, though. And she's just tough as nails. I think she has like 6 children too, so that tracks. I just think she would actually make a really good housewife. She loves being a housewife because she's always trying to introduce legislation to make us all housewives. So I feel like she'd be good. Yeah,
I'm fucking dying.
I never have to interview her again. So.
Well, listen, I would also nominate a Gail. I would nominate Gail Miller to be a Real Housewife of Salt Lake City.
She has the money to back it up.
She definitely has the money to run with them.
Yeah, and she also has like an iconic hairstyle, which I think helps, is when she has what do you, it's just like a very short cropped, like, Julie
Platinum white.
Yeah, Julie Andrews.
And she has the name ID. She's got more name ID than any of those ladies. So
I know, it's true.
She'll bring it.
Bring on the Gales in season 4.
Gale, listen, bad weather can be replaced with Gale Force.
Gale Force 1.
Let's go backwards because this season started with Heather's book reveal, but then, like you said, there was this weird, the episode ended and we got like the where are they now cards of everybody, and then there was about half an hour devoted to Jen's appearance in New York and her guilty plea. So I don't know, what did you think of Heather and Meredith showing up to be there with her? And
I was actually surprised to see Meredith there.
You were.
I didn't know, obviously, like, what the extent of her relationship with Jen was other than a castmate, but to, like, fly out on the day of her sentencing.
Yeah. Well,
it just didn't seem like that was where they were at. So I was
that
really
wasn't the only reason, though. She mentioned that Seth was with her, and Seth was on business. So,
okay.
I don't know. So maybe Seth made some business for that time because Meredith planned to go. But I also thought it was interesting that Heather, Meredith, and Seth went to dinner, and Seth asked them, "Have you ever asked Jen if she's guilty of what she's accused of?"
And they both just
that was like you saw them like actually being forced to think about this for maybe the first time because they've just
though they were at the dinner where Mary asked her. So they were both sitting there at that dinner in season 2 where she goes, "You didn't know any of this was going on." And then Jen says, "No, had no idea." She's like, "Really? You had no," like she's really the only one who ever seriously questioned her. So they were there when that occurred, but they never broached it themselves. So.
Well, and here they are again being asked, "Have you ever asked Jen if she's guilty of this?" And then we played the clip last week of Heather being asked that by Andy also, and just being like, "It didn't matter because I'm her friend." And so now what I'm hoping, we just did the reunion, or they just filmed the reunion. We'll be seeing it next week.
Yeah, and I know we said we were, disappointed they filmed it before her actual sentencing, but all of them knew at the time they filmed it she was guilty. So I imagine a lot of them will be asked then by Andy, how they reconcile the, grace that they extended to Jen given all of the charges that she's now pled guilty to.
Yeah.
So
I hope they're asked that in that way and not, they're not asked it in a soft way, and I know that they'll all have their statements prepared, and
for sure.
I hope their feet are held to the fire a little bit when it comes to this.
We cut this from last week's episode, but we were checking all of the castmates' Instagrams for their reaction to the sentencing, and the immediate day after, it was very quiet. But one of the first people to post something was Mary Cosby, former castmate, who was playing like a gospel song and with a cool rainbow filter. And it was like she had some caption that was, there was like,
I'm finding it.
You can't even say it was a subtweet. It was so clearly targeted.
Love you all. Hashtag God bless. Hashtag bless.
God bless, yeah. And then Meredith also posted something about...
Meredith posted something cryptic this week.
Yeah. Well, I will say, Meredith and Whitney both posted cryptic comments after the sentencing about how heavy this season was. I think it was Whitney who said... This season has been so dark, but now a weight has been lifted, and like the light. it was very.
She gets to go on her.
It was very
journey.
Like energy healer.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they get pressed a little more at the reunion about how they actually feel. Now that they're the most abusive, violent castmate is being locked up.
Oh, One of the things you pointed out when they were in New York was kind of there was this awkward tension, and I get that there's tension because something big's about to happen for Jen, but it seemed like Heather and Meredith were very uncomfortable with the fact that Jen was going to trial for this big thing, and it just I don't know, they didn't seem fully like they fully believed her, and they were
yes. So
I don't know how to describe it.
I came up with this drinking game that every time there's a pregnant pause in this last episode to take a drink, because every time Jen says something like "Stu set me up," they'll pan to Heather or Meredith, and they'll just go.
Like they just kind of grimace, like
their lips are completely in a straight line, and they're like, don't like just as the definition of a pregnant pause, and it happens several times where Jen's like, I can't believe that I'm taking the fall for all of this, and then they look and they're like, like,
it was very funny. I mean, we talked about the bad editing and how hard this season was to watch sometimes, but they, the people cutting each episode still got it.
Yeah. One thing that we wanted to share was the journey of Jen's taglines tell the story of Jen's rise and fall in this franchise. Like, we have to hit that right now.
In this town, I'm Queen Bee and MVP. The only thing I'm guilty of is being Shaw-mazing. I'm fighting for my life, not your approval.
Hearing all three of them in quick succession like that, though, it's just like, it's beyond parody. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's true.
She wrote her own, like,
she's like, her autobiography is a Shakespearean tragedy.
It is. It's a like a play in 3 acts, like a Jen Shaw and 3 taglines.
If the absolute unthinkable happened and you were found guilty, I'm innocent. Now we have to be able to talk about that too.
You have all of us supporting you. You'll be innocent. We know that, right?
Okay, so now we get to the beginning of the episode, which was Heather's book cover reveal. And shout out again to the editors, because they put in a quick shot of green Jell-O, and
oh yes,
my Mormon upbringing just appreciates that. So shout out.
I know I never had green Jell-O while I was living in Utah, and it was one of those like missed opportunities.
I don't know. I grew up Mormon. I can't tell you the last time I had green Jell-O. It's like not really a thing. It's just
yeah, it seems like more of a joke thing than it is a real thing at this point.
But anyways.
One thing, a lot of, but you said it was a great final place for like the final drama that takes place this season, except, as many people have pointed out online, they left out a scene that they put in all of the trailers or teasers for this season of Dana telling Jen off at this book party. So the drama ends up being Angie K going after Jen at the book party, but we never see Dana confronting Jen. And Jen and Coach Shaw leave very quickly after Angie K starts going after them. It's cut so poorly, you can tell that they left a lot out that led up to them leaving Heather's party. But Dana's line is so amazing. We have to play that too.
Don't get in my face. If I were you, I'd be real nice right now, especially if you want some money on your books.
I just don't get why they cut that if they used it in promo. And I don't know about you, but the drama with Angie K, it was hard to follow, and I wasn't really buying it. Like,
she flips on her friend in like 2 seconds.
And it was just like, oh, Jen was telling people that I was the one that gave Heather the black eye, which I don't know. I don't know. It was bad.
It was not believable. And I think no one was really buying that Angie K was really that upset at that particular point. So
lame they left that in and cut the Dana.
Yes.
Like that. I think We were so exhausted. Why couldn't they have done that for us? Like, the Dana fight would have been so much more satisfying.
Yeah. The other thing that was like, F this thing is Angie Harrington and her elf on the shelf husband.
Elf on the shelf husband.
I didn't want to say the other bad word. Decide they'll finally apologize as long as TV cameras are there to Coach Shaw and Jen, and he can't even utter any words.
Do it.
Was he like, breaking down and like, what was that?
It was bad. That was bad acting. It was like, is she his mommy? Like,
I know.
It was like a kid on a playground.
What he's trying to say. She literally goes, what he's trying to say is, I was like, if I ever have a male partner and I say, what he's trying to say is, yeah,
God.
Really embarrassing for both of them, but really embarrassing to be married to someone like that.
Exactly.
Use your words, Chris. Use your words.
Yeah. Okay, well, that brings us to our final question that I would like to revisit, which is, Jen is literally a month away from going away for 6.5 years. Mm-hmm. Does this show survive without her?
I think so, yes.
You think the others can carry it?
I don't think it's necessarily the others. I think there are big personalities in Salt Lake City, as we've discussed earlier, who can join this cast and give it some life. And others have pointed out that a lot of the other casts are much larger. And so part of it might be they need to add additional people, which sounds like they are.
Of the three, do you think any of those three will be invited back full time? You think they'll have their own snowflake next season?
I think Angie H is getting close, unfortunately. She's like good, because you can't really call her good or bad. She's just like, she gets people riled up, and I think that makes her a good candidate. I also really, I wish they had given Dana that final like send off with the telling Jen off, because that would have, I already like her a lot though, so I'd like to see her back. Angie K is the one who I'm like, I don't care if she comes back.
Yeah, which is weird. She had her moment where I was really into her, and
she's just
really
too fake.
her,
I'll be honest. Like all
so
her one-liners are very rehearsed. Like Lisa can deliver good one-liners that feel real and authentic to her, whereas Angie K seems like she like read a book on how to become a real housewife, and
she definitely rehearsed a lot.
It's very rehearsed.
Like we said, that storyline about Jen making up a rumor about Angie giving Heather the black eye was. Yeah, you're right.
Even the way the other Lisa and Whitney were responding to her sharing that, they seemed a little embarrassed for her. Like, they're like, okay, you don't have to go. Like, they're like, you're trying too hard. That's kind of the vibe they were giving.
The scissor thing too.
Oh yeah, they were really. Didn't it seem they were like cringing for her? That she was like, she's really trying to get on this show. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was kind of funny to see like the elder housewives like vetting the younger housewives. This is like really weird dynamic where like it's
like they're really part of the hiring committee a little bit.
A little bit. It did feel like a job interview at that book launch party.
Yeah. Well, I hope that we've been getting a lot of other housewife casting news the past week, so I hope they're not leaving us hanging too long for this, like they've done with Heather's Eye. I hope we get a resolution of that.
Well, next week we will have the reunion, so hopefully you and I will also be back to discuss the reunion tea.
We will, in our red carpet reunion looks.
This episode of Disengaging is produced by me, Julia Ritchie.
And me, Nicole Nixon.
Don't forget to find us and rate us on Spotify, Apple, Pocket Cast, wherever you get your podcasts. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
And Coach Shaw is not the brother of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I have been under.
I
can't believe that I thought that was true for like 3 seasons. This is like me fixing my microphone. I need to work on. I'm apparently getting old enough to become susceptible to disinformation and misinformation, and it's a little unsettling.